I mean, as great as I can sound. Well, you know what? We could. Everyone's got Skype on their phone. It's easy to put a phone into the board.
Yeah, but then he can't hear you. Okay. Lou won't be able to. Give me a mic check one more time.
Hello, hello. Check 1111. Hello.
Okay, now I should be able to call him. You should be able to hear it, and we'll go from there.
Are you ready for the number?
Almost.
Oh, I'm getting a little excited.
I'm going to go throw this at somebody at Best Buy.
Oh, there you go back to Guitar Center. You wore that guy out.
Well, I'm going there today too.
You still go there?
What's the number?
Who's there now?
What's the number?
Oh, 561-625-9623.
You guys getting dialed somewhere yet? There it is. Got it.
Ringing.
I'll be right with you.
Okay. That's me. We got a little feedback, a little delay. Do you hear that? We can live with it, though. Thanks for your time today, Lou. Really appreciate it. My co-hosts are Tony and Scott. Yeah, Tony's a St. Paul cop, so he's good to know. Scott, he's no good to you whatsoever. He works at Thomson Reuters. He's just a suit. Well, yeah, Edina's got no love for Hill Murray. All right, we ready to roll? Oh, well, here we go. 3, 2, and 1. And welcome to another edition of the Jeff Dubay Show, a wild Wednesday from Bennett's Chop and Rail House. We're on West 7th, getting ready for round 2 of the playoffs. I tell you what, just a lot of good things going on right now, including our today's guest. Very, very, very happy to welcome Lou Nanne to the show. Lou's down in Florida right now, but that'll change in 2 days. I mean, do you ever spend more than 2 days in any city, Lou? You get around.
Not too often. I got to make sure they can't catch up to me.
Do you plan on being in attendance for any of the games, round 2?
Yes, I will. I will be.
Good. So the first round in the book, St. Louis. Why do you? Now it's gotten to be a pandemic for that team. Why can't they win in the first round? I mean, are they not built for the playoffs? Because that used to be the blueprint for a playoff team, a rugged, big, physical squad. It doesn't work anymore.
Well, they should be able to play better than they have. For 3 years, they've had a real good team. I think 3 years ago, they might have even won the President's Trophy. I know they were way up there. So whenever you're able to come through a full season like that, you would think that you could play better. And they had a couple of 2-0 leads for a couple of years and then went out and let L.A. beat them. But in those instances, I think maybe Jonathan Quick just won the series himself. He was so good. And St. Louis, no matter what they did, they couldn't put the puck by him, and that might have been one of the reasons. But now I think that they're getting to a point where they got to make some changes in that team. They do have some good defensemen there, and they got a few quality forwards there. But I don't think that they're as deep as a team like the Wild up front, and maybe not even a defense. I'm not so certain that their defense is better than the Wild's, and they do have two outstanding guys in Peter Angelo and Shattenkirk, but after that, you look, the Wild's got Suter and Brodin, and people don't understand just how good Brodin is. I think he's maybe the most underrated player around that anybody doesn't talk about.
Well, people underrate the feat of a defenseman. Bouwmeester's slow. We turned the corner we had forwards turning the corner, come up the wing, too frequently for St. Louis's comfort in this series. I mean, I just thought that they looked a little slow on the blue line, but I still think the biggest factor was Jake Allen. I mean, you go back to game 5 in St. Louis. The way the Blues came out, I thought, boy, oh boy, they're going to put the foot on the throat and they're going to keep it there. And then he gives up the weak goal to Scandella, and it turns everything around. And then you get to game 6, and he didn't even give his team a chance.
Well, there's no doubt about that. He did not play well in games 5 and 6. He did play well in game 2 that St. Louis won, that the Wild could have won. And I think in the first 4 games, if you look at it, he probably had tougher saves than Dubnyk. And so he, at that point, was every bit as good as Dubnyk. And then game 5 and 6, he just went to bed.
Lou, this is Tony Dean. I write for Hockey Buzz. I cover the Wild. I really wanted to ask you about Mikael Granlund. And the reason I want to ask you is because I really respect that you have seen every level of hockey in the multiple different places. Is this a guy that's going to be a superstar, or is this a guy that's going to be a serviceable playmaking center? I wonder if he gets bigger and stronger and he's able to keep his skates and he's able to carry the puck and become a 60, 70-point guy, or if his plateau is going to be in the 40-point range and then he's just a supplemental guy.
No, he's going to be between the two. He's not going to be a superstar, but he's certainly going to be more serviceable. He will be a 60-point guy in the league. And one of the things you got to remember, to be a 60-point guy, you better have guys in the wings that are putting up a lot of points too. And he's had some injuries this year. He's had some sickness, and he's had some different line mates. And he wasn't played with Parise for a large time early in the season. So you got to have somebody that when you give them the puck, they're able to put it away, and that's not an easy thing to do in the league right now. There's not a lot of them, but he definitely is an excellent hockey player. He sees the ice so well. He handles the puck so well in tight situations, and more than people realize, the guy is extra competitive. He's ultra competitive, and he uses his body. For a little guy, he's always one of the leaders in hits.
Hey, Lou, Scott Schweitz. Kind of keeping with the same theme with centerman, Erik Haula had such a tremendous playoff last year, and this year he's kind of, he's fallen off and kind of fallen below the radar. Some people say that he's in Yo's doghouse, and just seemed to have such a great future ahead of him and good expectations. What do you think happened, with Haula, and is he going to be able to turn things around, or was it kind of just a one-hit wonder for the playoffs last year?
Well, he's got a couple of things going for him. First and foremost, he's very, very fast, which you need, and he's a smart player. I think that he got the pressing early as far as points go, and actually, one of the things that really happened on the positive side was the emergence of Brodziak came back in January. He started the season a little slow last year. He could have been gone, actually. There was, I'll tell you, a lot of talk about Brodziak not being here for the full year. Well, he comes out in January, and from that point on, he's been tremendous. He's given the Wild terrific center ice play, penalty killing, physical play, important face-offs, strong checking. And so now all of a sudden, you look down the middle, you got Koivu, Granlund, and Coyle, and Brodziak. It's tough for Haller to fit in there. And so he essentially had to play the wing, and I don't know if he's strong enough or good enough on the boards to beat out the guys they have.
Hey, Lou, this the round 2 opponent, Chicago, from just a style standpoint, size standpoint, speed standpoint, not at all similar to St. Louis. How different will the Wild lineup look? Because they can do some tinkering down at the bottom of that lineup. And who do you have to have Koivu on the ice against on a regular basis?
Well, you want to have him against Taves as much as you can, and he's big and strong, and he can muscle with Taves all night long, and you could also use Coyle there, and the only thing that worries me if you got Coyle there is Vanek going to be strong enough defensively to stop Hossa. See, when you got Koivu going there, you got big boys on the wing with Niederreiter and Stewart, so they can use their bodies effectively. This is going to be a very fast series. it probably won't be as physical as the Wild Blue series. And the Wild really, in my mind, have an advantage if they start playing more physical than Chicago, because they can slow them down somewhat. And the Wild have every bit as big a team as Chicago, maybe even bigger. A couple of the keys, they got to forecheck strongly and get on Keith and Seabrook before they move the puck. They're so good at it. But whenever you get the lineup like Chicago's got, you got to find ways to shut down Kane, Hossa, Taves, and Sharp. And Bickle's been a killer all along. But you really do know that they got four guys that are tremendous offensive talent.
Lou, I want to ask you about the power play. So the power play all year has been a core unit, and then at different times they've talked about working on it, or finding ways to make it look a little different. And that top unit, just for whatever reason, they struggle to carry in. It's a lot of perimeter, and then when it's going good, it is the perfect play. But what are they generating? How has the power play not been addressed at this point?
Well, I'm not going to second guess Andrew Burnett or Yo. I personally like the second power play unit better than the first for a couple of reasons. One, because Granlund's always going to get you to the zone because he's so good with the puck that he can't even get in. But he's got to watch making plays around the blue line after he gets in, turning pucks over there. And I like the point shots by Dumba better than by Suter or Pominville, because Dumba hits the net far more and he's got a rocket. And you could put anybody with him, Spurgeon or Scandella, and I like that twosome more in the points. And I think that's one of the keys, is they got to put shots on net, not miss the net, because then you lose the puck. Many times you lose the zone. And I just, I love Parisian on the power play, obviously. I love him everywhere. He's so good at deflecting pucks and getting to pucks. And it's a question whether you use Vanek there or Pominville up front. But that's their choice. That's what they're going to do, and I think they're comfortable where they're at.
Hey, Lou, on that point, do you think it would be better to kind of mix up the PP1 and PP2 and just get some of the veterans mixed in with some of those guys like Dumba and Spurgeon, and that you can kind of spread it around a little bit? Because I don't take away from from Parisi being on the top power play, but I definitely agree that Pominville and Suter are not getting it done on the point like a Dumba and a Spurgeon would do. So do you think that that's kind of the answer to the recipe of making things happen? Because even so far in the playoffs, we've seen Dumba score on the power play, and you're getting more production maybe out of the power play number 2 as opposed to the first one.
Well, I don't know if that's the answer, right? But it's certainly worth trying if they're uncomfortable where they're at. And I do like Pominville down low rather than up high. I think he's got a great shot, quick release, but he's more accurate down low than he is up high, and I think he misses the net far too much up high. And personally, when you're playing a team like Chicago, for instance, I would always look at who's killing penalties for them, and they are dangerous up front. So I would not want to go with just one defenseman and one forward when I do have 2 capable defensemen and 3 capable defensemen of playing the point of the power play and still being there defensive if you need them.
What do you make out of Chicago's goaltending right now?
Well, I hope that they stay erratic as they are. Every time I think Crawford's not going to play well against us, he comes up with a good game. He's had a good history against us. I just hope that now maybe they got into his mind a little bit, and Nashville did with some of the bad goals he gave up, and it might worry him a little bit. So if he gives up one, then he might be on a short leash.
Do you think they'll be more patient, though? Because if they're going to win the Cup, they're not going to win it with Darling, are they? Could they?
I don't know. I wouldn't think so, but whoever gets the job done for him. One thing about Quenneville, he's not afraid to try other things, and if the guy that comes in as hot like Darling was when he replaced Crawford a couple times, and then he got cold and Crawford came in and played well. So you got to be lucky. I mean, we went through that last year, if you remember. We had 3 goals, and it was basically going all year long. And in the playoffs, we changed 2 a lot, and still got by Colorado and give Chicago all they want.
I got to believe it's easier for Quenneville to do it in the first round than it would be as it gets deeper, though. I mean, as it gets deeper, you got to have your guy. I mean, I got to believe you got to have your guy ready. I mean, I just don't
so
see
do I.
Yeah.
I mean, I would not want to be uncertain about it, but they do have the good fortune of being able to score a lot of goals. It makes up for goaltenders' mistakes, and so maybe Quenneville feels that because he's got that asset, he can try some different things.
Hey, Lou, before I let you go, people are always asking me about Glenn and how Glenn's doing, and I know he's up in Canada, and I have not spoken to him since he left. And I asked you the other day how he's doing. Did you mind giving the folks an update on Glenn?
Well, I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and Glenn is Glenn as far as his spirits go. He's in great spirits. He's in good health, but he overall, I mean, as far as being able to move around, talk and that, but he does have he's suffering from short-term memory loss, which is tough on him because when you talk to him, he remembers all the things from a long time ago, but some of the short-term things he doesn't. But his spirits are still great. I guess this guy has just been meant to always have a great amount of enthusiasm and spirits, and I don't know. I think that he seems happy enough, but he does miss being around here and seeing some of the people.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people miss him, and he played a key role in my sobriety, in my in my recovery, and I will never forget him, never forget what he did for me. And
well, yours is a lot more, Jeff. I can tell you stories of how many people he's helped, and it's over 30 years, and it's really something that the kind of commitment he made.
Yeah, he also took me to an Edina Hopkins game where I got to sit with him and Willard Eichela and watch a high school hockey game. How great is that?
Isn't that super? Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, thanks for your time, Lou. I really appreciate it.
Okay, guys. Nice talking to you. Take care.
Get out on the golf course.
Thanks. Oh, yeah. Thanks.
That's Lou Nanne.